Today's topic, I want to discuss thrift savings plan rollovers into an IRA, also known as a TSP. So pretty much what are the benefits for federal employees of having a thrift savings plan? And then how can you optimize this plan after you hit your retirement age? So you might still be working for the federal government. And let's say if you hit 59 and a half as an example, you could do something called an in-service rollover. Or if you're later on in life and let's say you retire, fully retire, meaning you're no longer working for the federal government, in your 60s, how to make sure that you're basically leveraging this bucket, this retirement bucket, and making sure that you're rolling it over to an IRA. And that IRA or multiple IRAs can be customized as per your retirement goal. So I'm going to show you, the advantage that federal employees have over other employees, over more private institutions, show you the similarities between that, and then how an individual could leverage their thrift savings plan at the maximum capacity. And the ultimate goal is to use the smallest amount of dollars and only as much as necessary into specific lanes so that you have the most amount of leftover monies or fund monies to grow those accounts or really use it as a splurge account. And that's really the goal of this video. If at any point in time you do find some information valuable, you want to speak to a specialist, give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. Reference this video, and we'll make sure to get you on the calendar with the correct advisor. So typical federal employees, they have something known as the three-legged stool of retirement benefits. One leg is going to be pension. The second leg could be a Social Security supplement or Social Security when they hit of age. And then the last is the thrift savings plan. The reason why this is so crucial is the hardest thing throughout retirement is receiving some sort of income stream that's going to be greater than or equal to that individual's expenses. So as somebody's working, it's very easy. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. You know that this, paycheck is coming to you, and you have a certain amount of expenses. You have certain, expenses for your children, your grandchildren, whatever that case might be. And whatever your paycheck is that's coming in, it's taking care of those expenses. Whatever you don't use up towards those expenses are going to be placed into a savings or a type of retirement vehicles. And as you start nearing your retirement, you know that you're no longer going to be working. So now you're going to have to rely on these accounts later on to use some sort of distribution strategy to make sure that your income stream throughout retirement, where you're no longer bringing in that paycheck from your employment, is going to be greater than or equal to, what your expenses are. So when I talk about the three-legged stool, what is a pension plan? A pension plan is a defined benefit plan. And essentially what's happening is the federal government is the employer, and they're incentivizing the federal employee to stay there, to basically sit there, work hard, and give X amount of years of service so that they could receive some sort of income stream when they hit their retirement age. So the employer, the federal government, is creating this sort of back-end defined benefit plan to say, okay, based on the calculation, based on how many years you work, there's going to be, the longer the years that you work, the higher the potential income benefit could be, or the later in life that you trigger your pension, the higher the income amount could be on a monthly basis. And there's going to be some sort of calculation as per, for that individual federal employee. So this is going to be money that's going to be coming to them. This individual doesn't have to worry about investing on the back end. They just know that just like their paycheck when they were working, they're going to be receiving a monthly paycheck that will be able to, accomplish any sort of expenses that they have or a portion of their expenses. So that's going to be one slew of income. The other slew would be a Social Security income. So this is dependent upon if you have a FERS retirement or CSRS based on how long you've been working for the federal government. But ultimately, what the Social Security supplement or the Social Security benefit is it's saying, when you hit of age, and let's say you stop working, they're going to pay you a type of defined benefit as well. So now you have two income streams that are basically coming to you. Now this tertiary portion, the thrift savings plan, think of it like a bucket. It's a retirement bucket. What's happening is as you're working, you're contributing into this bucket. So the way on how this bucket grows is by the contribution somebody makes into the plan and the rate of return that's coming back. So the contributions are going into this plan. The federal government is incentivizing you to make contributions into that account. So they'll be giving you some sort of match into this account. And so these are the controllables. This is how much you're placing in there, how much that the employer, the federal government, is matching you. That's one side of the coin, which is being added positive. And then the opposite side of the coin is the rate of return. So these are the different investments that someone's choosing. So if they choose a G fund as an example, that's going to be some sort of fixed rate. So if the market's going up or it's going down, it's the G fund is not going to get hindered with whatever that growth is. It's not going to be correlated to what that growth is. It's just going to give you a fixed rate of return year by year. So an individual that's very conservative might just sit all their money in a G fund and have sat all their money in the G fund for the last, 10, 20, 30 years, and just knowing that they're making contributions and they're getting a set rate of return, and they're fine with that. Now, majority of other individuals, what they try to do is say, okay, I understand that I'm making contributions. I understand that I have this longer time horizon before I retire. So I want to go and make sure that I'm set up in different investments. So I'm allocating my money in the S fund, in the C fund, and maybe some different target date funds. So it's going to be correlated to the market. If you're super aggressive and let's say that the market goes down, well, you're going to see a negative occur to this account, or somebody equivalent to someone taking a sword and slicing that bucket. Now that bucket's smaller. If let's say that the market's going up and you're correlated to that with your allocations, then, pretty self-explanatory. You're going to see positives, essentially grow this bucket and have this bucket grow fatter and fatter. So between the time horizon and allocating this, that's what's going to make up that portion of the thrift savings plan that's now sitting as that tertiary benefit. So one, the pension income is a defined benefit. You know what your income is going to be based on how many years of service and how much money that you're making. The Social Security is going to be a defined benefit because it's going to be some sort of income stream. But the thrift savings plan is more of an account. It's more of just this bucket that's sitting there, and it's determined by risk. It's essentially a defined contribution plan. So if the rate of return is making this account crash and crash and crash, well, then there's going to be less money there. If let's say the rate of return is coming back positive and it's making the account grow, well, there's going to be a much higher, amount of bucket, or much higher bucket or growth of that bucket, for this individual. So when it comes time that this individual is no longer working, or they're eligible to take portions of their thrift savings plan known as the TSP, why would it make sense to remove the monies from the thrift savings plan and roll it over into an IRA? And that's where it comes into, what are your goals? And each individual is going to have a different set of goals. A very simplistic way to itemize your goals is to look at it under the form of income, emergency, and then growth. And then from there, you have different subsets of those goals. So from an income standpoint, you have to think, okay, well, if I'm no longer working and I don't want to go back to work, well, then I need to make sure that my income is going to be greater than or equal to my expenses. So if we have a situation where somebody's receiving pension income streams of $50,000, they're receiving Social Security income $30,000, and they have a thrift savings plan sitting there of $500,000, well, should they use this $500,000 bucket to create some sort of income strategy, or a portion of this to create some sort of income strategy if their expenses are higher than this $80,000 mark that they're already getting of lifetime income, every year? So if, let's say after doing a budgeting analysis and we realize that this individual has $100,000 of income need of expenses throughout retirement, and that's what they feel comfortable, they do not want to go back to work, well, then we have to go to the drawing board and say, okay, well, this person has $500,000 in their thrift savings plan. What exactly is the smallest amount of dollars, and only as much as necessary, to close up that gap? In this example, it's going to be a $20,000 gap. So out of this $500,000, this person could go and roll over a portion. Maybe it might be in an IRA, that an individual takes $200,000, puts it in that IRA, and the IRA has some sort of lifetime income mechanism, acts like a personal pension plan that will produce them the $20,000 of cash flow. So that you could have the IRA that's generated for an income IRA, you have the Social Security income and the pension income, and now that's going to correlate to their $100,000 annual goal for their expenses. So now that's a nice little baseline. Out of that $500,000, maybe, because it only costs $200,000 to set up into IRA number one for that income play, now they have $300,000 remaining to leverage for an emergency need and for a growth related need. So this is where, okay, out of emergency need, if this individual has about $100,000 of expenses, maybe they want to leave $50,000 or $75,000 in IRA number two, which is not going to be invested. It's not going to be set up on an income strategy. It's not going to be set up on a growth strategy. So this could be IRA number two, maybe set up in a money market account or some sort of, non-invested position. Out of this, now this individual has $250,000 out of this example. They now have $250,000 they could leverage towards a growth related need. And now this is where individual could have fun with it, because they know by creating the correct income strategy, they don't have to worry about outliving their retirement savings. They have some sort of insurance to close that gap. The emergency need is covered in case of an oh my gosh moment that was to occur. They already have that portion covered, and now $250,000, they could have fun with these dollars. So maybe based on what their risk tolerance is, they might want to say, okay, out of my $250,000, I want to make sure that unequivocally I'm getting some sort of fixed account. And that fixed account is going to be much higher than what I could get on the G fund. So I want to go put $50,000 into some sort of fixed account that's paying, 5% per year for the next 5 years. Maybe they want to leverage $100,000 and be super aggressive with those dollars. And they say, hey, I like the cost of what I have with my TSP, with some of my S fund and C fund because those are very low cost. I want to do that now on the individual side through an IRA. So maybe I want to go into some sort of low-cost index fund, some sort of low-cost Vanguard funds, which are very similar to the same low cost that you would have through your savings plan. So this is where you could optimize it. You could go into different subsets of different investments to make sure you could have a higher quality at that around that same cost or even possibly cheaper cost than what you're paying through that thrift savings plan. So now that could be, the $50,000 in the fixed could be IRA number 3. The $100,000 with the super aggressive play could be IRA number 4. And then you could create some sort of protected growth account through a bank or through an insurance company, through some sort of indexing strategy to grow when the markets are going up, not losing when the markets are going down. And that could be remainder of the last $100,000. So if you're just sitting in the thrift savings plan, what occurs? It goes by contributions and rate of return. Well, if you're no longer working because you hit that retirement stage, you're no longer making contributions to this account. When you're no longer making contributions, then you have to rely solely on that rate of return side. That rate of return is limited to different eggs in your basket. You only have investment-related options or a G fund, which is your fixed-related option. There's no customization. There's no optimization that you could do with those limited 15 to 20 options that you have within your thrift savings plan. So this is why when somebody is eligible and they hit their retirement stage, they could take their thrift savings plan, roll it over into an IRA or multiple IRAs, and they could go and create some sort of strategy or multiple strategies that will correlate to what their goals are. If let's say their income need is their, $80,000 is the income that they're going to be receiving from their pension, their Social Security, and after doing budgeting analysis, we understand that their expenses are only $50,000. Well, they don't have to they don't have to create an IRA for income because there is no gap there. That's where they could put more towards emergency or more towards that growth and have fun with their dollars. So there's a whole slew of different things that an individual could do when they're a federal employee that other employees for private institutions or maybe state-run institutions don't have access to. So I know that was a quick example, but once again, if we break down what is a thrift savings plan and what is an IRA, they both act like a bucket. It grows by the contribution somebody makes into the plan and the rate of return. So we understand with the TSP, the contributions is what the individual is contributing to on every paycheck, whether biweekly, monthly, however they're making those contributions. The federal government is giving them a match. That's being contributed into this account, and then the rate of return is based on those limited funding options, those limited investment options. 15 to 20 different eggs in your basket to choose. So this is the downside to the thrift savings plan is the flexibility, is the optimization. If somebody wants to really grow their accounts, they could do it much better in an IRA than they could in a thrift savings plan. If somebody wants to create an income strategy, they could do that much better with an IRA, with a customized IRA, than with a thrift savings plan. If, let's say, somebody wants to leverage an emergency need, well, it's going to be very comparable. Whether it's, something that's not really gaining anything and not losing anything, they might be able to just sit their money in a G fund and then create that sort of emergency need by just sitting it in the G fund. So, that's not really a make or break. But from the three things scenario, income, emergency, and growth, really where somebody could maximize their IRA over the thrift savings plan is through an income strategy and a growth related strategy. It just gives them more customization opportunities. So with an IRA, the way on how an IRA grows is by contribution somebody makes into the plan and the rate of return. When somebody does a rollover, conceptualize that as the contribution. It's not actually a contribution. It's not somebody making a continuous contribution into their IRA. But let's say if you took $500,000 from a TSP and you rolled it over into the IRA, conceptually that $500,000, think of that as the contribution. That's what's adding monies into that account. So now the account's sitting at $500,000. The rate of return is now based on not 15 to 20 options like you would have limited with your thrift savings plan. Now you have thousands of opportunities. You have thousands of different strategies that you could create that could customize it more more efficiently towards your specific goal. So I hope that those differences make sense. Another thing that an individual has access to through their thrift savings plan is now Roth TSP. And that's very powerful because an individual could make contributions to after-tax dollars. Basically, the way on how a traditional thrift savings plan works versus a Roth thrift savings plan is anytime that somebody makes a contribution into a traditional TSP, they're able to get a tax deduction for that year. And everything grows within that account, grows within that bucket pre-tax or tax deferred. When it comes time that somebody hits their retirement age and they start taking out withdrawals, it's going to be fully taxable. So the contributions are tax deductible, the monies grow tax deferred, and the income that's coming out is completely taxable. With a Roth account, it works the opposite. So the contributions that somebody makes into a Roth account, those are going to be post-tax, so they're not tax deductible. The growth in there is tax-free. So when it comes time to receive your income throughout retirement years, all those monies are going to come to that individual tax-free. So it's a way that when individuals feel as if the tax rates are going to be going up in the future, they want to leverage their dollars into a Roth. So this is where you hear something called Roth conversions. So let's say if somebody only used traditional thrift savings plan monies and they want to go and roll over their money into an IRA, typically they take their traditional TSP and they roll it over into a traditional IRA because it's a qualified retirement account into a qualified retirement account, pre-tax into pre-tax. So they're not getting penalized. They don't have to take any taxes out, anything like that. Everything goes over, gets rolled over smoothly, dollar for dollar. When somebody goes and they take their thrift savings plan, and let's say somebody already established a Roth IRA account, well, this is going from a traditional or a qualified pre-tax retirement account into a post-tax Roth IRA account. When somebody does the conversion, they have to pay taxes on that because in the traditional account, they got the tax deduction. It was grown tax deferred. And then when they take the withdrawal out, it's supposed to be fully taxable. The Roth account, because it's the opposite, they're saying whenever you want to do, the government's saying basically whenever you want to do that conversion, you have to pay money on that, whatever dollar is being converted over. So that's why if, let's say somebody has a $500,000 account and they have money sitting in their thrift savings plan and they want to go do a conversion to a Roth IRA, rather than take the full $500,000 and convert all of that into the Roth, they might do that in increments and say, okay, you know what? I have 10 years left before retirement. Let me go and convert $50,000 per year so that I'm not jolting myself into the next tax bracket. I'm at least easing that tax burden as opposed to taking that big tax hit all in one year. So that's where Roth conversions come in. Roth conversions or Roth IRAs are very powerful. The Roth TSP is very powerful. So that might be something to consider if you did not already take advantage of your Roth thrift savings plan through the federal government employer. So I hope that all that makes sense. And really at the end of the day, it's just having a plan, not just having a portfolio. A thrift savings plan is just a portfolio, it's just an account. What you do with that account, it's not just go into retirement blindly and I hope it's still going to be there. It's no, create a strategy. Make sure that you're optimizing each section properly so you have peace of mind in retirement. So you don't have to worry when you hit your retirement years that you're not saying, oh my gosh, I have to go back to work when I'm in my 70s, when I'm in my 80s because I ran out of money, or I have to completely change around my lifestyle because I messed up when I was in my 60s when I decided to retire. So that's the importance of making sure that you have a plan, not just having a portfolio. So the different solutions, if you're wondering, should you do the rollover into a thrift savings plan, roll it over into an IRA? If you found different golden nuggets in this video, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. And then just reference this video and we could have you set up with the correct advisor for your specific situation. The reason why individuals come to us on a national basis is because of our proprietary trademark systems. We understand retirement income planning. We make sure that that is the forefront whenever somebody's trying to create their retirement strategies. As long as you have income coming to you throughout retirement and you're at least having that safety net covered, it makes everything else that much easier. Whenever somebody's leveraging the growth-related plays and they want to use either safe accumulation accounts or safe growth accounts or fixed accounts, there's obviously solutions there. Or if they're trying to leverage more of that growth, that aggressive play, we're typically about 50 to 75% cheaper in fees than other advisory groups out there. So, if you are interested, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. And at the end of the day, we want you having confidence in your retirement, understanding, through an educational process. Do you learn better through video, through Zoom call, through literature pieces? What's kind of your educational preference? So you're becoming part of the process. It's not just us beating you over the head, telling you exactly what to do. We're going to guide you through that so that you're confident throughout retirement and you're happy every step of the way. If you found value in this video, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you get access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.